Hello, good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, wherever you are. So, welcome to our Facebook Live here at IFNG. So, I feel cold inside my room right now, but don't worry, I have my blanket. So, yeah, first, I would like to say hi to our 35 participants here on Zoom. So, and then for those who are watching on Facebook, maybe you are curious how to join us in Zoom. So the first thing that you need to do is like our page and send us direct message. So you will be a legitimate IFNG members. So the benefits of being IFNG members is you can have all the like discounts and reviewers that we can provide, and also the questions that you can ask us 24/7 if we are not on duty. Okay, are you ready? But first, I would like to say hi to my co-admin, Gladys. Can we hear your voice? Are you there? She's busy. Okay, but I would like to say hi also to other admins, Michelle, Marvin, and Manuel. So yeah, without further ado, let's welcome British Council Philippines, Miss Danica. Hi, Miss Danica. How are you?
Hi again, Sir Jeff. I'm
Welcome
good.
back.
Yes, medyo regular. We're almost a regular guest here. And thank you again for inviting us to be part of your IFNG series of webinars. So yeah, thank you, Sir Jeff.
Okay, Miss Danica, just only brief information. What are the participants or people who are watching right now to expect for tonight?
Yes, so tonight, actually, this is part 2 of our first webinar like a few weeks ago. The first part was about the computer IELTS, IELTS on computer, the screen, and even some tips for all of the test sections of the IELTS test. But tonight, we really do want to help you ace your IELTS test. That's why we will be discussing the different preparation resources that all of our test takers can take advantage of, especially our exclusive online preparation course, which we call the Road to IELTS. So we will go through the functions, the features, and the different parts of the Road to IELTS online preparation course. Yeah.
Okay, you can continue, Ms. Danica, and the floor is yours.
So thanks once again, IFNG team, and good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are on this part of the world, on whatever side of the world you are. And thanks for joining us today. So as I mentioned, we are actually going to discuss the different preparation resources that we have in store for all of our British Council test takers. But before that, we will just have to go through some house rules. Okay, so microphones and video cameras are turned off, except for the hosts. So we are doing that so that we can proceed with the presentations very smoothly. But if asked to ask your questions, you can also type it on the chat box, and we will answer the questions whenever we have the time for it. So it could be in between sections or after the whole program. Okay. Also, please do check your internet connection and speed. And if you'd like to take notes, please do so. Prepare pen and paper. Okay. So we can now proceed to our program proper. As we say, as discussed, we will be discussing the preparation materials. And the hero for today would be the Road to IELTS. So for those who have taken the test or have registered for a test with the British Council offers the online preparation course, which we call the Road to IELTS. It is British Council's comprehensive 100% online IELTS preparation program, which includes interactive exercises for better user experience. We also have tutorial videos in store for you within the Road to IELTS program. We also have exercise images that have been made more engaging and more relevant. And this also has enhanced user interface for better user experience. So as I've mentioned, this is actually something that we offer to all British Council IELTS test takers. Okay. On the high level, I'll be discussing what the road to IELTS includes. So we have the mock papers or the practice tests or downloadable practice tests. We also have functions like the study planner and progress check. So these are, some tools that can help you monitor your progress and even guide you through your whole preparation course. We also have videos of advice and tutorials from both IELTS experts and even previous test takers, sharing advice on how to answer some of the questions and how to overcome some of the test sections in the IELTS tests. And as mentioned, we also have interactive exercises. So these are just like number of activities that you can do within the platform with sample IELTS test questions. Okay. So what is the road to IELTS and what types of road to IELTS will you encounter? Generally, we have three versions of the road to IELTS. We have the road to IELTS free version. So this is basically something that you can access without registering with the British Council, but you only receive 30 interactive exercises, 4 tutorial videos, 1 practice test only. And this is again free for everyone and anytime. I'll show you later how you can access these types of road to IELTS. Next is the road to IELTS last minute version. We have 100 interactive exercises, 9 tutorial videos, and 2 practice tests. So it's actually more than what you can get than the free version, right? And this is also available and only available to registered IELTS British Council test takers and will be available until 1 week after your test date. So how does it know that it's already past your test date? You'll actually have to enter your test date in the platform. Okay, and the last version, which is something exciting because I'll announce something later after this, you'll get even more interactive exercises, 300, 13 tutorial videos, and 36 practice tests. So that's times 3 of what you'll get from the last minute version. And actually, this is something that you can access if you purchase the full version. And will be available up to 6 months after 6 months after you open or you access the platform. So I mentioned this is only offered to those who will pay for the full version, but actually we have a new promo for all of those who would like to register for a test with the British Council. So we will be offering the Road to IELTS full version to everyone who will register until May 31, 2022. And this will be applicable for anybody who will register for any test, IELTS on computer or IELTS on paper until June 30, 2022. So you just need to enter the Road to IELTS 2022 promo code when registering online, and you'll receive instructions on how to access your Road to IELTS full version. So in fact, we've started this already this March, last week, and we already have a lot of claims from this because they really find the Road to IELTS very helpful. And if for those who have not seen or used this, I will be discussing what you can actually get from this platform. Okay. All right. So this is how the Road to IELTS screen looks like. But before we go to that, I'll show you ways on how to access your Road to IELTS. So if you want to use the free version, for example, you'd like to sample lang some exercises from Road to IELTS, you can just type the this link, www.roadtoielts.com, and you can just click on what the type of module that you will be practicing for, academic or general, and then it goes to the sample practice test. I'll show you later on how this looks like. Okay, so another version is the last minute version, which is again something that's only available for those who have registered with us. So as you can see, these are screenshots from the test taker portal of the British Council. So once you enter your portal, you just click on your test date over here, and then it then lands you here where you have the different tabs. So you can just click on the preparation tab, and you'll see on the top section that it has the Road to IELTS last minute version. And the link here, start now, redirects you to that portal. So I'm showing this to you because there are a lot of people who would register for the test and wouldn't really know how to access these free preparation resources that are actually very, very valuable. So do take note of this one in case you register with us. Okay. Now you also have the full version. Again, if you are paying for the full version, you can go to ieltspractice.com and it will guide you on how you can access the full version. So you have to pay a certain amount, that's about 2,500 or about 49.99 USD dollars. So again, for until May 31, for those who will register, we will be giving this full version for free. In fact, when you register, you'll already have the instructions on how to access the full version. It will be accessed through this link, roadtoielts.com/British Council/registration. And then the login credentials will actually be sent to you. So these are just a set of codes, login credentials that you can use, or a set of Road to IELTS e-codes that you can use to enter and access the full version. So that's 4 ways on how you can access the Road to IELTS in different scenarios. All right. So this is how your Road to IELTS screen looks like. But before that, I'd actually like to show you the ways on how to access your Road to IELTS. So let's go to another screen. Sorry. I'm not really sure if you're able to see my screen now, but we can do it. It's okay. So you already have, this is the free version. This is the one that I've been mentioning earlier, that you can just go to roadtoielts.com and then you can just click on academic or try general training. And it lands you, or it redirects you to a page where you can access one practice download and the different offers that you have under the free Road to IELTS version. But if you are actually registered with the British Council, like I am right now, I'll be having my test on April 23. If you can see my screen, you can just click on view this booking. All right. And you can just click on preparation tab over here. And then you'll just click on start now. So when you click on start now, it redirects you to the IELTS, to the Road to IELTS screen, where you can have or access the last minute version. The third one, which is actually the promo version, this is the sign in page where you will be entering the different, your login credentials or the e-codes. And then when you click on sign in, you'll be asked to enter your account details like your name, your email, and your password. And so it brings you to this screen, okay? Right. So right now, do you have any questions? Okay, if not, we can proceed. Okay, so this is actually the screen that you will be looking at when you enter the Road to IELTS screen. So you'll see on top, you'll have different, what do you call this, functions that you can take advantage of. So you'll have the more practice, the IELTS on computer, the resource bank, and the progress report, and then sign out. So these are the main menu functions within your screen. So let's go first to each of the function. We have the CD IELTS button over here, or the IELTS on computer. It's already rebranded with IELTS on computer, but it's just the same. So when you click on that, you'll actually go into a page where you will have some information about IELTS on computer. Please do take time to read on this because it will definitely guide you through your IELTS on computer test. So those for those who are taking the IELTS on computer test, you can make use of this function and practice using the same interface as our IELTS on computer. Below the page, you'll actually see a video explaining the road to IELTS, and also some videos below that about computer delivered IELTS or IELTS with computer, and each section of the IELTS with computer test. So you have the listening, reading, writing. So each video would actually present the features on your screen. For those who have attended the IELTS on computer webinar last time, the same videos will actually be there to help you or to guide you with your IELTS and computer test. So next we have the resource bank. I'm sorry, are you able to see my screen? I think, okay, so I think you can. Okay, so the next function is the resource bank. So these are additional resources that you can definitely take advantage of when preparing for the IELTS test. Okay. What are the sections under the resource bank? We have number one. This section is actually the study planner and the study guides. So this section is only actually available when you are registered with the British Council or when you have the full version or the promo from us. So this is not available when you are using the free version. The study planner, when you click on this, it will actually download a full guide, especially for those who are taking the IELTS for the first time. It guides you through your whole journey. You know, the links included, which preparation resources you can use, and also like tips and techniques on how to answer the questions for each of the test section. The study guides here, you have each for reading, writing, listening, and speaking, and even a study guide for preparing for IELTS. So these study guides would include explanation or description of all of the different types of the IELTS test within each section. So for example, under reading, what are the types of questions, even the criteria that the examiners will be evaluating, especially for the writing and the speaking test. So when you have the full version or the last minute version, please do take time to read this because they are very, very helpful. Number two, you also have the countdown to your test. As I've mentioned, you will be asked to enter your test date, and this will serve as a reminder on how many test dates or how many days you have left until your test date. So once you enter that, when you visit the resource bank, you'll see the number of days left, hours, and even minutes before the first day of your test or your written test. Okay, the score calculator over here actually includes like a raw score of your listening and reading. So it will calculate only listening and reading tests. So once you have finished the exercises or the practice tests within the platform, it will automatically record the correct answers or the items that you got correctly on each of the test sections, especially for the listening and reading. And number four, this section again is the information section. It gives, it's actually a compilation of videos of previous test takers. So these are your previous test takers giving tips and advice for each of the IELTS test sections. Okay. The third one is the progress report over here. So how does it look like? It's actually more of a tracker of what you have already done within the platform. So if you're really very serious about your preparation for the IELTS test, do take advantage of this, make use of this, because it will measure your performance within the platform. So for example, you have the coverage. So the coverage would include the exercises that you've already completed. And then in the analysis, you will also see the number of minutes that you have already consumed for each section. So for example, in this screen, you will see that in the reading section, I took about 80 minutes, which is actually more than the number of minutes in the actual test. So that means that you have to improve your reading test, your reading skills. We also have the compare section over here, which includes the scores that you will get, or the percentage of scores that you will get for each set. So that means you'll see whether you've improved on this particular test section, for example. And then the score details would include like a summary of your test and the score for each of the tests. Okay, so that's a progress check. Okay, now you have the more practice, which is actually like your practice, like your full version. But you don't need to click on that, especially if you've already entered the promo code. So those who weren't really able to see the promo earlier, again, for those who register for a test until May 31, you will get access to the full version of the Road to Ielts. Okay, now the 4 modules are also included in the IELTS, the Road to IELTS screen. So you have here the reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Okay, so I'll have to switch to the platform itself so that you'll have an idea of what you can see from in each of the modules. So hang on, please bear with me for a second. Okay. All right. So let me, okay. So this is basically what the platform would look like if you're already using it. As I've mentioned, you'll see how many days left until your test. And these are the sections that we discussed earlier. You have the IELTS and computer, the resource plan, and the progress report. But I'd like you now to focus on these 4 blocks over here where we cover the reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Okay, so for reading, for each of the section, actually, you'll have the starting out, you'll have the advice and tutorial section, you'll have the practice zone, and the test practice. So let's take, for example, the reading section. Let's click on starting out. So when you click on starting out, you'll have the video explaining what the reading test section is. And when you click on read ebook, it's actually a more detailed explanation of the reading test section. So here's a sample of the ebook that you'll be able to access through the Road to IELTS. So you'll have here like an overview of what the reading test is and some sample questions and their answers. So basically, it's an information of what to be expected in each of the IELTS test sections. So in this case, it's the reading test. So this is going to be the same for each of the test section. If you click on starting out under listening and under speaking, under writing, it will also have the ebook and the videos. And when you download the ebooks, it will actually give you detailed information on each of the test sections. Now we go to advice and tutorials. So for the advice and tutorials, you'll actually have, you'll be able to view an IELTS expert explaining some tips and techniques on how to answer some of the questions for the reading test section. But I'd like you to look into or focus on the speaking here, where you'll have different topics about the IELTS speaking test. So this, you'll have more videos under the speaking test. So you have the speaking advice, what the examiner is looking for, what do I talk about, and even some advice on coping with nerves. And then you'll also have the tutorial for some of the interview questions or the IELTS speaking questions. So if you have the time, please do view all of these videos, as it will definitely give you some advice that you've never heard of, and some strategies and stuff on how to answer some of the questions. Even soft skills like coping with nerves, which I think most of us will be when we have the speaking test. I remember having my speaking test before, and I was really, really very nervous. And I forgot to watch this video, but it actually gave really sound advice on how to, avoid getting the nerves. Okay. So that's under advice and tutorial. So these are the videos of advices and tips and techniques for each of the test section. Now we go to the practice zone. Okay, this version we're looking at is actually the last minute version, which is the free version when you register with the British Council. But these other sets will be unlocked if you apply for the promo R2 IELTS 2022. So you'll definitely have more exercise sets. So for example, for set one, you'll have the short answer question. It definitely provides you an overview of the type of the questions for each question, for each section. So for example, for the short answer, you'll have this, okay? You'll have to fill in the blanks. You'll even have the test tips on how to answer short answer questions. So it definitely gives you a good guide, a really very comprehensive guide on how to go through each of the test section, each of the type of question for each test section. It's very detailed, it's very granular. So it definitely will help you, especially for those who will be taking the test for the first time. So when you try to answer the questions, you'll see the marking. So you'll definitely see which questions are incorrect. Okay, so it gives you an immediate result of your answers, basically. So those are the types of exercises that you will be encountering under the practice zone. So let's check out the practice zone for the writing. Okay, so you'll have here, let's say, the static charts. Okay, so you have here some exercises for you to understand the process that goes into thinking about the writing task. So from the previous webinar, we talked about how to understand, or some of the webinars, there will be like ways on how to understand a graph and everything. And this is just one way of understanding the graph. So the blanks here are actually what the examiner or what information you should be including in your writing task. So these are just exercises. It's not the actual writing task, but you'll have that in the practice test. So where can we find the practice test? So that's actually the test practice section. Okay, so when you click on this, if you're taking, so there. So when you click on the practice section, you'll have two sections within the screen. You'll have the IELTS on Computer Simulator. So for those who would like to take the test through a computer, you can make use of this one. But if you'd like the old-fashioned way where you can just download the papers and answer it at your own pace, you can definitely do that as well. So you have the test practice paper here, and you also have the answer key here. Okay, so that afterwards, you'll also be able to check immediately the answers to the questions. And while you're doing that, you can just click on the start time here while you're doing the actual test, to measure also the time that you're taking for each of the test sections. So, syempre, honesty, system. So you just have to click on this while you're about to start your test practice. Okay. Please bear with me. There are some ambulance noise in my background. I hope it's not that loud. Okay. So these are the sections of the IELTS, the Road to IELTS screen. Before I move on, I'd like to ask if there are questions about this. Okay. Somebody was asking about the link to the full version. Of course, yes, I will definitely send the link to all of the participants. So it's really important that you're able to register for this webinar so that we can get your details. But if you haven't registered, please do reach out to the IFNG admin, and I can just get your email from them and send these resources to you. Okay. All right. These are other resources from Road to IELTS. By the way, the Road to IELTS is actually a program that's developed by the British Council in partnership with Clarity English. So from here, you can see that you can also access their blogs through these links, okay? So you can take a screenshot of that and visit the links later on. But you can also rewatch this video after this. Okay, so for those who have registered for the test and are starting to use the last minute version, which is the free version when you register with the British Council, we always get these questions. And I'd like to go over these FAQs so that when you start your journey and use the Road to IELTS, you'll also be, you'll be able to answer those questions already. And so these are just some of these questions. How do I get access to Road to IELTS online last minute version? I've shown it to you earlier. It will be the easiest way to access this is through your test taker portal, which is actually the portal when you register for your test and create your account. You'll be asked to enter your email and password. So if you ever want to access your account again, you'll have to go to the test taker portal and enter your email and your password that's been nominated. And as you've seen earlier, you'll have a different tab. So you'll even be able to access your results after your test within the same portal. So take note for those who are using different kind of passwords. So some of them would definitely be, asking us, oh, how do I access the portal? Some of them have already forgotten their password. So please do take note of that. How long can I use the Road to IELTS online for? I've also shown that earlier to you. For the last minute version, you can use it 7 days after your exam date. But if you have the promo code, if you were able to enter the promo code for the full version, sorry, I can hear. All right. So for those who will be taking advantage of the full version using the promo code, you'll be able to access your full version for 6 months, okay? For 6 months from the time that you access the portal. Can I use Road to IELTS online in my office and at home? Definitely, you can access it anywhere. In fact, when you access it through your mobile phone, it's going to be on a mobile version. So it's going to be something that's because it's accessible anywhere. Just of course with internet, you can definitely use it while you're on road, waiting for your ride, etc. Okay. If I register again after taking my IELTS, will I get the same material? So for example, and I hope this won't happen, for example, you need to take the test again and you have the promo code and the full version. You will definitely have the same materials within a specified time frame. But we do change the materials every so often, but we don't really know when. So it might be possible that you will get the same materials if you register your test within 1 month or within 2 months after the previous test. Another question here is, should I work through the units in order? Okay, so I've shown you the portal earlier, the Road to IELTS screen. It's actually designed in such a way that you can definitely be flexible in your approach of preparation. So you don't have to go through the reading, the different test sections in order. You can choose which section you'd like to focus more first, and then go to the next material, etc. So it's very, very flexible. Okay. Because it uses internet to access the Road to IELTS and to answer the questions, if, for example, your internet crashes in the middle of using the Road to IELTS platform, that's okay, because you will be, the answers will be saved. Marking while the internet is down, you will lose your score for this exercise. So you actually have to finish the whole section for you to be able to get a marking, for example, the reading and listening. Okay. But because it's flexible, you can always just go back to the section and answer the questions again. Does Road to IELTS give me an IELTS score? So this is a note or a disclaimer. It does not really give you an IELTS score, but it gives you, for example, raw scores for your listening and reading. Okay. So I needed to note that because people might be expecting, oh, after I submit my answers to these sections, will I get like an equivalent band score? But the answer is no. It only gives you the uh, the opportunity or the avenue to practice on some of the sample questions on the IELTS test. Okay. Do I, Another question is, do you get a writing task scored? Again, you don't get any sample writing tasks scored in the Road to IELTS, but after submitting your answers, you will actually see a sample or the model answer for that specific question. All right. If I'm not a registered test taker and you want to practice for it, definitely you can pay for the full version. Again, you can skip paying the full version if you register with the British Council and use the promo code I've shown earlier. Okay, so that's that's actually what we have for the Road to IELTS, but I will be discussing other prep resources that you can take advantage of even if you're not registered yet with the British Council. But before I proceed, I'd like to ask if there are some questions here. Okay, so no questions as of the moment. We can proceed now. All right. Okay, so these mobile apps, which are developed by the British Council, are available on both Apple App Store and the Google Play. So we have the Learn English Grammar, Learn English Audio and Video, and Learn English Sound. So do take advantage of that. Take note of these apps and download it whenever you can. These are definitely going to be very, very helpful. It doesn't really show any sample questions for the IELTS test, but it does help you with your grammar. It does help you practice your audio skills or your listening skills. So yeah, you can take advantage of these. But we have developed another prep app that has the practice test or sample questions from the IELTS test. Okay, so you have the IELTS prep app. Again, it's available for in the Apple App Store and also in Google Play. You have the practice test for all 4 skills. So while you're on road, again, you can just scroll through your app and answer some of the practice questions there. It's really very helpful. But aside from the practice test, you also have the check progress and some tips actually from IELTS Expert. So it's kind of like another version of your Road to IELTS, but with fewer exercises, but still very helpful the same way. Okay. Okay, the study planner. So this is something that we offer for free for IELTS test takers, especially if you are taking the IELTS test for the first time. It includes links to British Council online preparation materials. It also includes practice tests, video tutorials, online courses, and online activities. So as you can see in the sample image that's shown there, you have the get started. You'll have like a checklist of things to do when you're preparing for a for a specific section. For example, listening. What do you need to do? So as you can see here, you'll have the check boxes. So it's definitely a very comprehensive guide when you want to prepare for the IELTS test. All right, so these are some of the resources that you can take advantage of when you're using the study planner. You have the Feature Learn English for Teens, Start on Audio Journal, Talkie website. So you will encounter all of these inside the study planner, and it will even have the links to some of these resources. So it's really very useful. We also have, for those who are going to take IELTS on computer, the IELTS on computer familiarization test. So it includes a full version of the computer delivered IELTS test for listening, reading, writing. Of course, not for speaking. We also have the results provided for the listening and reading sections. So after completing the LRW, you will be able to receive your raw scores through email for the listening and reading sections, okay? So this is free. It's accessible on our website. I'll show you the website later. If you're taking IELTS for UKVI, this is really very important. This prep resource is actually quite similar with the Road to IELTS. But how does it differ from the Road to IELTS? It actually has, again, 40 practice tests, fixed 40 practice tests for the speaking, reading, writing, and listening. But it also has other functions like video tutorials, progress check. But what's exciting with the GEL IELTS prep is that you are also able to take advantage of the free writing feed. It's not actually free, sorry, it's the writing feedback. It's not free, it's a paid offer, but for a very minimal amount. So if you're taking, and this is only free for those who are taking the IELTS for UKVI. So if you are going to take that, you can access the GEL IELTS prep again through your test taker profile. Okay. So we also have other IELTS webinars that's conducted globally. And as you can see on the schedule, we will go through each of the test section and even the skill for each of the test sections. So for example, we have a webinar for vocabulary. We have a webinar for answering task types like the true, false, and not given, etc. So take a screenshot. You can sign up for the webinar in the link on your screen. All right. Also, for the IELTS Success Essentials, this is like a compilation of everything that I've mentioned earlier. As you can see, you have the list there of all the exclusive preparation resources that the British Council has developed for all of our test takers. So you have the Road to IELTS, IELTS webinars, etc. So if you weren't able to take note of the links earlier, you can just take a screenshot of this page. And when you click on this and when you visit this page, you'll actually have the links to all other resources that I've discussed earlier. So we've put it together so that you won't forget, which preparation resources you can take advantage of when you've registered, when you register with the British Council. Okay. So actually, that's about it for tonight. And I am now open for questions if you have any. Okay, I think I have one question here from Jake. Is it possible that the IELTS examiner is a Filipino also? Yes, and there are also instances that the examiner would be a native speaker. So it's not always a Filipino examiner. You also have examiners from different parts of the world. So I think I've mentioned this previously. We're now conducting our IELTS speaking test through video call. So that's why sometimes you can have Filipino IELTS examiners or foreigners or native speakers for the speaking test. Okay. For the first time test taker, how long enough for the review? Thank you, Maria Anna. This is a really interesting question, and we've received this question quite a lot. So there's really no straight answer to your question, but I would suggest that you self-assess yourself to know how much long you really need to practice or review for the IELTS test. And you can do that by using the free preparation resources that I've mentioned or that I've shown earlier. So sometimes for some of the registered test takers, I've seen that most of them would register earlier, like 3 weeks or maybe 2 months in advance, before their test. And I think that's because they're really using that time or gauging, to gauge, their what do you call this, their capability to ace their IELTS test. So they're giving that time, they're allocating that time to practice for the test. Others kasi would register late, last minute, and they wouldn't really have time to review for the test anymore or practice for the test anymore. But if you register earlier, the thing is you have like a timeline in your mind that, okay, in 2 months, I will be taking the test. So once you register for the test, you take advantage of the Road to IELTS. It even gives you the reminder of um, how many days more before your test date. So I would suggest again to register in advance. To have that time for you to prepare for the test. Yes, is it available? Even yes. Okay, so for overseas test takers, the Road to IELTS is actually free. The Road to IELTS last minute version. So that is the version that's available on your test taker portal. Yes, it's free. It's available for all test takers around the world when you're registered with the British Council. So if you're taking the test in Singapore or even in the Middle East, that is still available. If we're talking about the full version, in the Philippines, we're running the promo for the full version. So if you're taking the test outside the Philippines, you won't get access to the full version because the promo codes won't be available for you. Okay. But the resources that I've shown earlier, like the IELTS prep app, the webinars, those are free, and you don't need any registration to any test yet to access those. So you can definitely participate in the webinars even without registering with the British Council. So it's also available overseas because that is done online anyway. All right. Okay, so for Peachy here, yes, the study pack is something that we also offer in the British Council. But please, for your specific concern, please do get in touch with me. You can, I'll type here my email address so you can write your concern to me directly, and we can have someone from the global office to check on this. All right, Peachy? Okay. So I've already sent out my email there. And yeah, so I will be sharing all of the links here. So if you've signed up for this webinar, I have your email addresses, and I will send like an EDM or an email to all of you as a recap of everything that I've discussed here. All right. Are there any more questions? Okay. Okay, let me share my screen again for you, Chantal. Yeah, so I think that it's really, I mean, you're talking about the IELTS prep app. Just check on that here. So this is the prep app, but as I've mentioned, you can actually check the links to the prep app here on the IELTS Success Essentials page that I've shown earlier. Hang on, let me just, there. So you can just take a screenshot of this page. As you can see, you'll have a link to the Road to IELTS, to the IELTS webinars, to the IELTS and computer familiarization test, your prep app over here, even additional IELTS computer tests, GEL UKVI, the study planner that I've shown earlier, and so much more. So just take a screenshot of this page here, and you'll have all the links to all the prep resources I mentioned earlier. Okay. Yes, Jake. Definitely, as I've mentioned, some would register for a test and will not even have time to prepare for the test. I highly recommend you go over the preparation resources that we're offering for free. It's all there. Preparation is still the key to ace your IELTS exam. Okay, some people would underestimate it, but it doesn't really take much for you to prepare. So yeah, just take advantage of the resources. Okay, so I don't see any more questions right now. Sir Jeff, Miss Michelle. IFNG team. I think we can close the webinar now. Okay, so if there are no more questions, thank you so much for joining us today. Please, I sent my email address on the chat box. If you have any other questions, you can send it to me directly and I will try to answer the best that I can. And if you need assistance in entering the promo code, you can also get in touch with me or any of the IFNG team. I will also be sending you the promo codes in the email after this, within the week. So for those who are going to register for the test until within this year, until June 2022, you can definitely take advantage of the full version. So thank you so much, everyone, and good night, good morning, good afternoon, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you so much.